You're listening to the 808s and Joysticks podcast, now available on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, and iHeartRadio.
Welcome to 808s and Joysticks, the show that bridges the gap between games, music, seasoned with pop culture. I'm Tairell, and joining me today, as always, is Tom.
Yeah, so there's actually been quite a lot of news covering everything from music, gaming, films and TV in the last 2 weeks. So we're not going to cover all of it, but we have put together a selection of information and news that we think is the most beneficial or the most interesting things to talk about this week.
Isn't that always what we do anyway?
Yeah. But I mean, you know, there's been so much that compared to the last few episodes where we've really been sort of scraping for certain things, but this time there is a lot of stuff to unpack. Just quickly, we're going to mention the new COD. We were just speaking about it before we started recording this. And say I'm personally not that much of an FPS player. I did play Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare when I was younger. I do like the games, but I won't be picking this COD up probably. I've sort of grown out of that a little bit. I think it's not really for me anymore.
I understand. I haven't played a Call of Duty game like properly or purchased one since Black Ops 2 now. All the rest of them I've either borrowed from people or I've like played at other people's houses, and that really sums up my Call of Duty like my relationship with Call of Duty at the moment. But this game,
it's complicated.
Yeah, it's not even like complicated.
If you were to describe your relationship with Call of Duty using a Facebook status, would it be it's complicated or would it be an open relationship?
It would probably be complicated because I do really enjoy the Black Ops series. I think those are really solid games, but I just don't like all the bullshit that comes with all the other games. Like Infinite Warfare and all that was just bullshit. Like wall running, shooting underwater. It got to an extreme with the whole like, you know, the tanks in there that are manned, and I just thought, well, this just looks like Titanfall. Titanfall came out, I think maybe the year of or the year before that, and it just seemed a little bit funny how like Respawn was made up of like former Infinity Ward people, and then Infinity Ward released a game that also had like Titans in there, like, well, Titan-like things in there. It's like, oh well, what's going on here? I just really think that like this one in particular looks like we went back to how Modern Warfare was and what everyone enjoyed, and but it kind of pisses me off a little bit because I don't like how companies really pay so heavily on nostalgia now. Like, nostalgia is such a massive selling point to a lot of people. It really does run a lot of stuff. Like, a lot of things that we buy are just rehashes of things that we already like. Even music is packaged in the same way, as well as games. Like, it's come to a point where we're going to think how many
later.
Yeah. I was going to say, it comes to a point when how many times is this going to be done? How many times are we going to have a shooting game? We're going to Modern Warfare again now. Like, are we going to go to Modern Warfare 2 after this? Like, is this going to be the same trope? Or we're going to reset Black Ops now? Like, how far are we going to go with everything? Like, we need new concepts. Like, yeah, you've returned to when the game was at its greatest, its base. But is that just playing on nostalgia too heavily? Is that why everyone enjoys it? Like, bringing back like certain kill streaks and things like that? Like, I just thought...
I personally like that, though. I don't think that's... Whilst there is a bit of nostalgia going into it, personally, I feel like they've seen the success of Battlefield over the last few years, last few entries. And obviously, Battlefield didn't do too well last time, and it's slightly... EA have sort of let it slip a little bit there, and now it's their like COD's time to jump back in. And you know, yeah, it plays on nostalgia, but if they had good game mechanics and a good game, which, to be fair, they did do at that point with those games, then there's no reason why you can't go back to that formula.
Wait, okay. Oh, I think we should take a step back, though. Call of Duty has got good mechanics in it. Like, I won't take that away from the games are all very well done most of the time. I don't really hear about many issues or bugs really with the COD games. Like, not major ones anyway that I see. So I think we can give them the mechanics and like the actual the game is actually made to a high standard and it always looks polished. But the problem always lies within, the lack of content and the microtransactions, the loot drops, all the other bullshit that has come along as a result of consumer spending and corporation greed. So for Modern Warfare, for Modern Warfare to like push back on that, and not have any of that in there, I just feel like companies keep doing this as in like, oh, this is so great, we haven't got no loot drops or anything. I think it's not patronizing, but I feel like it's kind of taking advantage of the audience. Do you know what I mean?
Well, speaking about that, just something like related to it this week, Activision, who, published Call of Duty, when they released Crash Team Racing, did say they weren't going to put any microtransactions in it. Lo and behold, now it's released, they have put microtransactions in it. So I wouldn't believe anything that Activision is saying regarding microtransactions for Call of Duty.
Call of Duty, this is exactly what I'm saying. Like, I just, like, I get both sides. Like, I can understand why they would do something like this, but I also think, like, us as consumers, we're getting so excited about it because, it's Modern Warfare, to bring back all these things, and I'm thinking, man, but the right choice would probably be not to buy this game. Because then it just goes to show that they can keep resetting every time they feel like they can fuck up and put too much into a game and, put too many restrictions and too many loot boxes. And then when there's so much outcry, we'll strip them all away and make this amazing game we could always have made without all the bullshit. But, when you forget about that, we'll just start adding the bullshit back in there. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't understand. Like, Crash Team Racing, everyone pre-ordered it, went and brought it out, and they thought, yeah, it's cool. Then they just slip the microtransactions in like real quick because that's just Activision / Blizzard. Don't forget, Blizzard is also involved in all of this. They're just as bad. So, I don't know.
So it's an ongoing theme that is probably going to be... Number one, microtransactions is an ongoing theme in the games industry and will be for the next however many years.
I don't think we're not...
government legislation comes in for... I don't know, to sort of control it a bit more, like it has done in Belgium. And the UK are looking into it currently at the moment, but it doesn't seem to be getting anywhere.
Yeah.
But then the other ongoing theme, which is the ongoing theme of this episode, probably, is, like you mentioned, rehashing of content. This episode, we've covered, Call of Duty games doing it. We are going to cover movies doing it, and also music doing it. So it seems like the creativity is not really there anymore, and that's sort of possibly a big issue as to why it's not there and why people feel the need that they can just take something and 10 years later just go, okay, look at this, it's brand new, but it's not.
Yeah. I do understand when somebody brings out something repackaged, and I understand like anniversary editions of things. I think that, it's important. You're introducing something to a new audience, but when there's like the same game that's being produced for years, like, how much variation has the Call of Duty's had? Do you know what I'm saying? In the last 6 years. Yeah, but didn't Call
of Duty release a Modern Warfare remastered with the last COD?
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
I understand it's a remake, and that's perfectly fine, because they have remade it from the ground up by the looks of it, and it does look really good. However, like you've said, they've remastered Modern Warfare. This is, again, Modern Warfare. There's not much variation on stuff. It is going back to that core concept, but then, it's all good going back to when you were successful, or at the highest point. You could say. But then if you're just going to ruin it again, or like you said, take the microtransactions out, but then slowly slip them under again, like Activision have done,
yeah,
it sort of seems a bit pointless.
Exactly. It's just like, what is even the point of like putting your money and your trust into a game or a company for them to just eventually fuck you over anyway with like putting additional map packs? And then they also try and do the thing I was like, oh, no additional DLC or map packs, but then the game would just be lacking shit. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it would just be lacking stuff. Like you look, you're playing the game and you're like, wow, there's only 5 maps, but there'll be really, really big maps that will have lots of open space. And I'm just like, no, you've done that, and you've ramped up the fucking lobbies to 20v20 because you want to make sure people are playing in these mad open size maps, so you don't have to release many maps. You can release 5 really big maps instead, because that's less work, and also it doesn't really matter. We're not releasing DLC. We're not releasing map packs. You didn't want map packs, so you have to deal with these 5 maps that we're going to give you, and we'll probably give you a free map or like 2 additional maps later into the year before the other Call of Duty comes out. Because I don't know what the what do you call it? It's not called. Is it concurrent player base? Like how many people play a Call of Duty game before it finally dies?
Yeah,
well, I can imagine I can imagine a lot of them must die after a year. They just totally just nosedive, or at least only have like a couple hundred people still playing it.
Mm-hmm. You normally see it if it's a yearly release for a game. You normally see it around 6 to 8-9 months in is when you start to see 6 months. You see a little drop, and then 8-9 months you see more of a significant drop, and then when the new game's coming up, the hype for that, you might see a bit of a peak, and then the demo will come out or the game will come out, and then you'll see the drop again.
Yeah, exactly.
But sort of moving on to something that has come along while COD's been stagnating, which is Fortnite. And although it's not technically an FPS, it does occupy a space competitively in the market with something like Call of Duty.
It's a competitive shooter. That's what you would call it. Yeah, it's a competitive shooter. Yeah.
And also being free to play does make it very, very easily accessible to new users and a much larger market. Now, this week, we have seen the Fortnite World Cup, and a champion of that was a 16-year-old boy called Booger, his name, or alias, you could say, and he took home $3 million for winning that. Now, if that's the case, and Fortnite have got into esports well here, and got big bucks on offer, you're going to see a lot of people seeing that and going, oh, well, I should be starting to play Fortnite a lot more and get competitive at that. And you'll start seeing that people will take more interest in esports, I think, personally, and start focusing on just one game rather than playing a few different ones. So it's going to be a lot harder, in my opinion, for them to try and sell something when you've got big things like Fortnite taking on esports and really sort of, being in control of that area now as well.
It's just amazing, like how just like a 16-year-old kid can win 3 million off a game. It just really is it's quite insane when you think about it. This kind of stuff never existed like 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. Like you're like Fortnite wasn't even a thing. Like, and then now there's like a 16-year-old. He would have been 11 years old. He could have never ever predicted he was about to win 3 million when he turned 16.
Mm-hmm. The other thing is
that's just insane. Like when you just really think about it, it's really insane.
The other thing is the amount of money that was on offer here. So, second place got $1.8 million. Third place got $1.2 million. Fourth place got $1 million. Fifth place got 900,000. All the way down to 10th place, where the abysmal 225 grand prize pot was. So,
wow.
Even if you finish 10th, you get a nice 225 grand.
These
It's
guys
not
have
a
never
bad esports tournament.
they've never seen money like that in their life, man. Like, you won't even understand. Like, and also, not even that 3 million is just the tip of the iceberg. You got sponsors, interviews, people sending you shit now, like endorsements, like all sorts of things will be happening. Like, you are the number one in the world. I like Fortnite. Like, wow, it's very insane.
But it goes to show that's a free-to-play game that's being able to offer that much money because of microtransactions and everything now. So whilst it's helping the esports scene in a way, it's also detrimental to games. So there's many arguments that can be made against stuff like this. We've discussed it a lot, and we always will discuss it. But
see, that's, you can't really say that though, because a lot of Fortnite gets a lot of its money from sponsorships. Like, don't be fooled. Like, a lot of money is paid into Fortnite because it's the biggest thing to advertise now on. People just kind of use it as a space to advertise things, like John Wick and, like Marvel and Marshmallow did the first ever like virtual reality live like set like in the world on there. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it is now a place to advertise yourself with the kids. And the kids run shit. Like, if the kids think that your song is cool, like Lil Nas X, it's gonna be good and it's gonna go on for a long time. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a really, really smart. It's like one of the first real social games. Like, because it is very connected in a way where like it crosses over into so many different forms of popular culture and can so easily and effortlessly. And it's a free to play game. It shouldn't be this way. Like, Epic really has managed to do something, and this is coming from someone who I thought Fortnite was done. Like, I thought it was definitely going to be over. Like, when Apex Legends came out, I thought, yeah, it's killing it. Like, the streams are down on it, everything. Nah, it's like bigger than ever. They're evolving the game. Like, kudos to Epic. Like, I eat my words. They've managed to keep Fortnite alive, and it's probably never going to die now. It's in its 10th season. Like, wow.
yeah, to be fair, it's not been around for too long still. For a game, it's still a short life period. But to be as active as it is, and also to, the people that have played it, it's quite a sort of mainstream game, you could say, or a normie game, you could class it as, which means that the audience for it is very vast and a lot of people play it, which means you're going to get a lot of people that are very influential on social platforms playing it, which we've seen. And then the fact that esports is now a thing for them, but also the amount of people that were interested in this esports, it opens up the market. Whilst people might not like Fortnite and, might not play it or might think it's a bit childish, it does open up that esports market for a lot of people. And esports and gaming in general is not seen such of a cliche anymore. It's now sort of become a normal thing, and you'll be like, okay, well, I'm just going to go and watch the Fortnite World Cup on Twitch because that's sort of cool to do now.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not going to get like blasted for watching that by people. They'll just be like, oh, what are you watching? Oh, I'm just watching like a stream of some games, and people are like, oh, okay, that's pretty normal now. Like,
well, it is, isn't it? Like, oh,
it is, yeah.
Going on Twitch, because Twitch doesn't just have gaming events on there anymore. Like, Twitch hosts other things now. They host things that are non-gaming events. So now Twitch is becoming just a live streaming platform, which I feel like Twitch always wanted to branch out in, and because Amazon owns it now, it definitely can have the manpower to just branch out as like a live streaming platform rather than solely focusing on gaming, which I think is how this is like goes on very nicely into our next topic, which is how I feel like Microsoft Service Mixer can take the gaming market away from Twitch.
Well, it's possible. There's just a thing that I wanted to sort of cover a little bit, which is, as much as it seems normal for us to go on Twitch or YouTube or something, it's not actually that normal for the majority of people to do that. Like, it's it just seems like, because we've not grown up with it, but we've always been interested in that sort of stuff, it seems normal to us. However, there's a lot of people out there that, have never touched a video game or watched a live stream or seen an esports event, and they would have got into Fortnite because it's free and gone, I like this game, let me watch a bit of this game, okay, but then you go down that rabbit hole of starting to look at that and get interested in it more, and I think that's definitely opened up the market. And like you said, more streaming services have come to the market, and you're going to say about Mixer how that could take the gaming market away, and that's something they're trying to do with Ninja, obviously the biggest Fortnite streamer at one point, possibly still is.
What was your first? Because I sent you the tweet in it. What was your first initial? What was your first initial reaction? Because I know what mine was.
Mine was, what the fuck's going on? Like,
mine was like, oh, Mix is definitely going to start just signing people now, like exclusively. Like, it's going to be over for Twitch. Like, they're just going to start signing people. This is going to be the new streaming wars. I just knew it. I knew it was coming. I knew a new war was coming. It had to be brewing. Everything was too quiet for too long. Like, Microsoft and PlayStation and Nintendo were all friends with each other. I was like, nah. I was like, something else has got to happen now. Oh, lo and behold, here comes Microsoft exclusively signing the biggest streamer. Like, what the hell? It's insane. I want to know how much they paid him.
But, it's a weird thing, because I don't know if they're going to branch out and just stream, sign people up that are just streamers. I think this is like a rare exception because of, the publicity they went with him, with Fortnite. It's something that we'd never seen before in the world of streaming anyway. Just the amount of publicity and following that he got based off this one game. So, it's a bit crazy.
Well, I heard that Ninja's going to be very instrumental in the release of the new Microsoft console, and is going to be instrumental in building up Mixer as a streaming service. And I think they were like hinting at, like, yeah, he's going to like be instrumental in bringing other people over as well, like seeing his success, because his numbers are already up from Twitch.
Well, his numbers were always going to be up, though, because it's a debut of this new exclusive thing. Like, it was going to happen.
I just think, I just want to see how many people will move over. I want to know what Microsoft is offering, because we're seeing another kind of epic thing here where, like, this is like a company that has just must have offered like Ninja a stupid amount of money to like sign him up over on a much lesser used like streaming service. Like, Mixer is nowhere in the leagues of Twitch, so I don't even know like what he was thinking in moving over there. But the amount of like marketing and production and whatever they're gonna offer him must be insane. So we'll just have to see this move, because this move is very big, and it's definitely going to shake up like that kind of like community, like the streaming community. It already has. There's so many people just like pissed, like, and just thinking, oh, like, because they think it's fucked because Ninja is going to take his fan base with him to Mixer. So other people are thinking, shit, like, well, that's going to be some of their subscribers lost as well. So I feel like other people are also thinking about themselves and how this is going to have a domino effect. But who knows? I don't think it's that deep. But
I think it's, so the difference between Twitch and Mixer, the streaming war there, between that and something like Amazon Prime and Netflix and Disney Plus now and Hulu and whatever the fuck else is going to be thrown in there at any point. The difference is there's no upfront fee you have to pay, so you can just go and watch without having to do that. So you can easily flick between. I mean, if you wanted to, you could have Ninja on Mixer on the right screen if you have two screens, and someone on Twitch on the left screen. and you could easily do that. So I don't think it's going to be as big of an issue as people are making out. However, it could cause an issue with certain things, like if there's a certain event you want to watch, then you have to watch it on a certain platform because a certain person's there and they won't appear on the other platform, which could cause issues if the service isn't up to standard. But for that, we're just going to have to wait and see, I think.
Yeah, well, see, as I said, I feel like this is going to be a little bit like an Epic and Steam type of situation. If Mixer starts just buying out all the top streamers, I feel like people will be upset because they don't want to have to then transfer over to a new service. You know what I mean? Because obviously, if you subscribe to someone on Twitch, you have their emotes and you have all these other exclusive things that come along with being subscribed to a person on Twitch. Like, I've already paid for that month. Like, well, obviously, Ninja's done it at the beginning of the month, so that means that, like, you might be fucked if the exclusivity, like, you know, landed on when you happen to subscribe to him. But they've already took away his verification, like, tick on Twitch, because obviously he's never coming back there now. So I don't know what they're going to do with his content, because I think Twitch own his, like, past streams still. So I guess they can do whatever they want with him, innit?
I believe so. Here's the thing, though. Like, all that stuff we've just discussed, that's all just come from Fortnite, really. Like, that free-to-play game that came out not so long ago has caused all this stuff. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing either. It's one of those things that shook up the games industry a lot, you know, and really changed a lot over that short amount of time as well.
Yeah. I think this game is a lot more controversial than, like, it's supposed to be. Like, there's so many other things that are going on. Like, it's just causing such an uproar within the industry. I don't know. I just feel like it's just gonna be one of those games in it that everyone's just gonna keep playing now, and people are just gonna get bigger and bigger. There's always gonna be another person who's gonna be bigger than Ninja. There's always gonna be another streamer. There's always gonna be another something. So we'll just have to wait this one out. Let's just see how this goes. Mixer could be your new Twitch, but I highly doubt it.
Yeah, and you spoke about controversy a little bit as well. It's one of the first times, or one of the only times that I've seen people actually, like, loudly booing for certain competitors in an esports tournament, like, actually, like, in a sort of football game, but it's like a group, like, the whole crowd booed a pair of Fortnite players during the World Cup who were banned by Epic for cheating, formerly, as XXIF and Ronaldo were playing in the duos tournament, and they got booed as they came on stage, and then everyone cheered in the crowd when they lost as well. So it's like, it's weird because it is turning more into sport, but the thing is, people don't seem to be supporting the teams as much. They seem to be sort of supporting the whole tournament, but not supporting people who go against it. And I'm not sure necessarily what that means for esports in the future or the gaming community either, because while I understand the reasons for booing and stuff like that, it does sort of bring up that argument again of toxicity within gaming, and to have a whole stadium full of people booing you just because you've cheated and then because you've lost and they're all cheering at you seems a little bit petty.
No, but they didn't. They're saying that, but I understand why the boos, because they took a place of they were still allowed to be in the tournament, and they still went home with $50,000 and placed 28th, even though they cheated in the third week of the tournament and colluded with players, I would understand why if I was a player that also tried to get into the tournament, I would be upset. So I know why the community's upset. Like, I'm reading more about it.
Yeah, okay,
and, like,
I understand that.
I'm reading more about it, and like people are saying like that is the reason why, like, because like like these people are like sponsored players, and they shouldn't be. If you're really that good of a player, you shouldn't be colluding with other players during the elimination, like in order to acquire easy elimination points during the third week of the Fortnite World Cup qualifiers.
Mm-hmm.
And it was dropped from their team as well. So this goes to show.
It was interesting, but it depends. Like, if it wants to be a sport, then again, it's still this thing that it's still something that's quite new. Like, the whole microtransactions stuff and free subscription-based games, everything like that is all so new that it's not controlled in a way. So like in sports where you'll have random drug tests or whatever, obviously you can't. I mean, you can still conduct random drug tests at esports. Don't know how much that would really matter.
Well, they have to anyway now. I think they do drug tests on certain esports. They do, because like there's people who's taking way too much Adderall and way too much like things that they call like study drugs or like concentration drugs. Like, people were just taking those while playing, and it does give you it will give you an edge. You're drugged up, like you are. Even if you're technically not, you're intoxicated, and it might give you some sort of edge. Like, so, I don't know, if you can't do all these illegal other substances, why do you feel like you can take like prescription drugs as well? Like, you wouldn't be able to. Like, people can't take cocaine on stream, can they? And stuff like that. Like, so why do you feel like you can take bare Adderalls like before a match? It will be just. That's why, like, there's so many blurred lines, because all that kind of shit would be banned. Like, when playing like a sport in it, like football or anything that. Like, we know like how strict that is. Tennis, running, anything like that is so strict. Boxing, MMA, like, it's just, that's getting into a different territory though.
Yeah, but also there's precautions in place in sports where you, for example, you can't bet in sports if you play sports. The same way you can't collude with another team to, I only need a point to win the league and I'm playing this team, so we'll give them something in return for them not letting us, like giving us the 3 points or the point to win. Now, like, this is the thing that happened during the Fortnite World Cup qualifiers, like you said, because there's no precautions or like rules laid out in place. There's nothing there because it's so new. They were still allowed to re-qualify again, which is perfectly fine, because I don't think there's anything against that. After they got dropped from their team, they still re-qualified. But the thing is, like they said then, it brings up the fact that the community is going to get pissed off because these people have cheated before, but then they were allowed to keep trying and did qualify. Obviously, they're good enough because they qualified without cheating, but, you know, there should be something in place to say, well, if you've done that, then you get a ban from this tournament, you're not allowed to re-qualify. Something like that. Just some precautions or rules in place to state what's there, and that's it. And then update them based on situations that happen, like sports do. You know, I think it's something that will happen.
Yeah.
But until it reaches that point, it's still very fresh, and it's not going to be took seriously as a sport as such until that sort of governing body comes into place to put those things in place.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to say it's not took seriously in a fact that, you know, people don't think esports is a serious thing, but if things like that are happening and it's a video game tournament, people are going to start making that argument of, well, it's just a video game tournament, it's not a real sport. You know, if there's some governing body in place or some rules and precautions set out, an actual, sponsorships coming in, stuff like that, which there are now, but, to protect them as well, and just be more professional.
What the problem can be with like gamers are so protective over everything. Like anything like that like comes in, it's always an attack on their censorship or like on them. Like I like obviously us being gamers as well. Yeah, like everything can't be attack on censorship. Like sometimes like shit needs like we need not governing, but some kind of order. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like some type of rules. Like
there needs to be rules set in place,
universal across the board. Like we need something. Like
if there's money on offer, like such massive amounts of prize money on offer, there needs to be rules set out in place for qualifying for the tournament. People should have to read agreements and sign disclaimers before taking part. I don't know if that is already in place, but things like this should happen just to make sure that everything is covered, and people can't moan about it. Then that's the thing. People can moan still and say, okay, I don't agree with this, don't agree with that, but legally or by the rules of the tournament, then it's perfectly fine that that's happened. So while you can moan about it, that was all by law of the tournament, and that's perfectly fine. It can't be disputed. Because I'm sure people will be disputing the fact that they've done that now, and the community will hate on them for doing that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it is still their fault for cheating and colluding with other players. Other players who, as far as I know, haven't had details released about them. But, the fact that they've done that and other players are involved, well, if there's nothing really in place for them to stop that at the start of the tournament, then there's no way to say that people won't try and find a way to get around it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's like a double-edged sword, isn't it? Like it's
a catch-22.
Yeah. It's just hard. It's a hard topic to talk about because like we don't have enough information, and we're also not the people to be talking on it because like we're not really in that kind of community yet. Like even if we were about to do live streaming, we're not even a part of that or a part of any type of esports scene. Like most I did a couple street fighting, like little small tournaments here and there. Like I didn't do that great. I just like playing Street Fighter. Like so. Even back then, it was real rudimentary, and those were like small time tournaments. So I don't know. Yeah, there obviously needs to be some type of like rules. There is like the fighting game community is different. Like there is rules set there a lot more, but it's a bit seedy over there as well. There's a lot of other problems in the fighting game community that like need to be addressed more than anything. But yeah, just have to get it together as a community, really, and try and decide something. Well, the Fortnite community have to get something together because this can't happen, and it's obviously been happening, and 2 people managed to get found out, like, but it's obviously been happening.
Yeah, there could be more.
Yeah, for sure. There definitely was. Like, if they were colluding with other players, who are other said players then? So, like, there must be other people involved. So, I like, is what it is at this point, and well, I'm pretty sure we'll see some other stuff come out about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, moving on to something totally different anyway, on a different side of everything. Probably we're going to talk about this too much because it's not really that much gaming, but it's just kind of related. Epic Universal, but the Nintendo themed park though, which is supposed to be coming in this brand new expansion, looks hard. I've seen Donkey Kong. That's all I've seen so far.
Yeah, so I actually know quite a lot about this because it's something that I follow. Not really that closely, but just from being involved with Planet Coaster and that community, you get a lot of sort of this information here and there. And, you know, like you said, Universal have announced a new park, Epic Universe in Orlando. They bought land quite a while ago. This has been going on for a while in the background. And there's been rumours that this Nintendo land was coming to Universal at some point. Many people were saying that it was going to come to actual Universal. When they bought this land, that was when people were saying, well, that could be why. Other rumoured attractions that are going to be there are things like How to Train Your Dragon and Fantastic Beasts, which is the Harry Potter spin-off. They've increased their budget in recent years with the Harry Potter worlds at Islands of Adventure. And you can really tell they're trying to rival Disney now, which is a good thing for that area. But something like a Super Nintendo World, which apparently will make its United States debut in this park, would be really exciting.
I'm definitely hearing that there's there was a picture taken from whatever, something was being made, and it looked like Donkey Kong, it looked like Donkey Kong's land, like the country. So,
well, if you don't know, Nintendo have been working on this for ages.
Is the Japanese one done yet in Japan, like the Nintendo Land? Because they've got one in Japan as well, haven't they?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's actually been released yet, but the actual agreement between Nintendo and Universal was signed back in 2015, I believe. But they haven't actually, as far as I know, done anything in the parks as of yet, although I think they're still building the one in Japan. But there's been a lot of concept art going around about it.
Yeah, Universal Studios Japan, 2020, but right in time for the Tokyo Olympics. So that's when Super Nintendo World is being produced. It looks really good. Like there's a real life Mario Kart course. It just looks really sick. So I'm hoping something like that is going to be in America. And a Universal was supposed to be coming to England as well at one point, but I don't know if it's still coming.
Yeah, I remember that. That was sort of, I think that was
but then I heard it got sold
in the water.
I swear it got sold to Paramount, and Paramount was going to start doing a Paramount themed park, and I was like, Paramount? What do they own? Transformers, maybe?
No, Universal owned Transformers. Because there's whether they own... See, here's a different thing. Theme park rights work differently to other rights. So, for example, in Orlando, the Marvel area, all the Marvel characters are in Universal, even though Disney own Marvel, because Universal own the rights to those Marvel rides, theme park rights in Orlando. So it's really confusing. So if whoever starts something somewhere could buy the rights to that, but then if someone else owns it and they start a rival thing, they're not able to do. So it's very confusing.
So basically, they only own the rights for it to be registered in Florida or Orlando. They can use those roller coasters there, but they maybe if Disney was to take it outside of Orlando, they could.
Yeah, so Disney have took it outside of Orlando to Singapore and places like that, but they're not allowed to do anything in Orlando because Universal have the rights to. I don't know the full details, but it's very confusing.
Sounds very confusing.
But the fact that they're opening up this new park could mean that, I don't know, Disney do something with the Marvel licenses in Orlando if that ever expires. Because this is in reaction to Galaxy's Edge, which is the new Star Wars land that's just opened at Disney, or just going to be opening this month. Yeah. So it's a reaction for that, and their reaction to that themed area is to build a new park with the Nintendo partnership, which is something that's never been seen before there. So that's quite a nice new thing. It's a nice video game partnership, something where you can actually go to as well and experience it firsthand and feel like you're in the game. Something that's going to be a very unique experience, I think.
I think I don't know what to think sometimes. When I hear this kind of information,
What necessarily do you mean?
We're talking about Death Stranding, right?
What, right now? Right now, we still have to speak about Death Stranding. Important information that's come out this week. But we,
My mind's totally gone blank. This guy's totally gone blank.
So, like I just mentioned, it's going to be a unique experience seeing Universal have Super Mario World in a theme park. But continuing speaking about sort of Japanese games, unique experiences, like you've just said, then Death Stranding, we've got some new information this week, and my god, this game looks good. Like, I'm excited for it. I don't know if you're. I mean, obviously you're still excited for it, but yeah, it's really, really turning up to be a very good game. We've got Norman Reedus in, and we got a new character this week. I think his name was Heartman, I believe.
Yeah, he's the one that his heart dies every 21 minutes. Yeah, basically he's hooked up to an AED, and it occupies himself with music and film that can be consumed within that 21-minute window. And then when he dies, he spends 3 minutes on the other side, or whatever that is, searching for his family before being resurrected. Hartman dies up to 60. Well, he dies 60 times a day. It's very, very strange, and it's very weird. Kojima back again, but as I said, I don't really know how to feel about information like this, because, like, yeah, he's telling us this, yeah, but how does this really play a role for us, like, as the player? Like, does that mean, like, we're gonna have to make sure he's okay every time he dies, or, like...
I don't know, I'm trying to work out whether, like,
what's this got to do with, like, what has it got to do with? Like, that's the only thing that I don't understand. Like, why does his heart die? Like, and what does that have to do with us?
I'm not sure, but I have a feeling that this other side is possibly related to the whole sort of... Do you remember when we saw all those hands and the ghost trailer and stuff like that?
Yeah,
I feel like that might be related to the other side, where he's trying to find his family, because the trailer that we've seen with him in like this area where he's listening to music, etc., just seemed very it seemed a lot more lighthearted than the previous trailers we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
So whether there is these two things that you constantly flick between, then that is something that does need to be considered, and why that is a thing. Because as we see, he comes back from being in that the other side, and then we see the sort of mountains in the background and stuff, and it does pan out and it just being his wall. But I think that's a sort of hint to it being, the other side is this empty, cold place that's dark, and there's not much there. I feel like that's what it's trying to hint at, because to me, it looks like all the trailers we've seen before, where there's just this big open landscape that's pretty empty.
Yeah.
And then obviously when he comes back in, he's in a house with computer monitors and films. I really, really like the fact that there's a whole sort of shelf of films and books and DVDs and stuff, because if you follow Kojima on Twitter, for anyone that's listening that doesn't, you'll know he's a massive fan of film and stuff like that, and he always tweets about different stuff. So I think that's a nice little sort of connection between the creator and the game there. Also the fact that he's showing like 1914 silent comedies, like I think that's a nice little thing that's different to other games. But
it's because he always likes to show off his like knowledge of that kind of like stuff, like films and things like that. He just loves it.
Mm-hmm.
He just like, if any chance to like reference one of his favorite things, he will. But also, it's just an interesting thing. In the interview, the guy who's playing Hartman, what's his name called again? He's from Drive and
Nicholas Winding Refn, however you say his last name.
Yeah, Refn was actually supposed to be Refn actually recommended Keanu Reeves for Mads Mikkelsen's role, and that's quite funny because obviously like Keanu Reeves is now playing a character in Cyberpunk 2077. I think Keanu Reeves would have really played that like Mads Mikkelsen role great as well, but I think Mads Mikkelsen's got it like locked down. Like I can't wait for him to just be like the super villain that you have to fight like every 2 hours in the game. You know he's going to be that guy that pops up and just beats you up every time.
Yeah,
or you have to just run away from him quickly.
I'd personally, I don't know if it's just because it's the only thing we've seen, but I think Mads Mikkelsen suits the role a bit better than Keanu Reeves would. I think he would have done a good job, but I think Mikkelsen's got more of that, I don't know, angry German look about him, you could say.
What, that creepy like vibe, that creepy.
Yeah, angry German might have been a bit too far, but I mean, like in a war-based scene, sort of Commander or something like Wolfenstein, it reminds me of something like that. Having like someone in that
basically like
power.
Like an enemy. Like he just looks like he's supposed to be a war enemy. I get what you're trying to say.
He's in that position of power where he can control people, but also you know that he's like a bit crazy and deadly on his own. I think he suits that role more than Keanu Reeves would have. Keanu suits Cyberpunk more.
Yeah, Keanu. Yeah, he does suit Cyberpunk more because Keanu's also like, it's kind of goofy as well. So like, he's not like, you can like take him serious like with John Wick and whatnot, but like he's a bit goofy as well. Like when he came on stage for Cyberpunk, I was just like, my God, Keanu, like what have you been doing with all your spare time? Like I just know you probably just sit on Reddit a lot. Like
he's got that edge to him that's different, and I think the castings for both games are very good. I think they've made the right castings for both games.
Yeah, because Mads Mikkelsen is a weirdo. Like if you watch any of his films, he's very weird in them, and he's also a really good actor too. This is quite cool, but he's very weird though. Has a weird look about him. But yeah, moving on from Death Stranding, just a little piece of information, even though it shouldn't be little, but E3 like leaked 2,000 journalists' personal information. I just thought you should know. If you're a journalist and you went to E3, I would make sure. Yeah,
it was just a spreadsheet that was made publicly available on the website. So, for the Electronic Entertainment Expo, the world's biggest electronic entertainment sort of conference, to reveal that personal information online, I don't really know how that holds you in regard to a lot of stuff, because like that's the whole reason of your conference is for certain stuff like that. So it's not great publicity. The whole point in E3 in general is for software, people to gain access to software, and to not have leaks at E3 is like a big thing anyway, but then for E3 themselves to just leak personal information on a spreadsheet that was made publicly available on the website. as well. It's not like
And-
someone hacked into it. They just sort of went, oh,
Yeah.
well, oops.
Also, also as well, like the file was removed from the website, but if you still had a link or could find the Google cached version of the page, you could still view it.
Nice.
So like it's just fucking this is stupid. Like this is like ESA. Like, do you know how much information like would have been on there? Like that could ruin people's like career. Like people could dox people now. Like and fuck up. Like the old journalists, they get a bad rep. Like, can you imagine now? Like there's been one journalist that's been like absolutely pounding in on your indie game, and now you've got their personal information. Like, it's a little bit fucked in it. Like when you really think about it, and plus you got to think about all the journalists that don't want, especially like being like a woman in journalism, all these like crazy like whack jobs that like want their information to like fucking follow them and shit. Like what about then? Like what about for anyone? Anyone can get stalked now, like by anyone. It's not good. And if they need to do something really, I don't know how they can make this up. Like, how could you make that up? Like, you've just doxed 2,000 people. Like, you just...
I mean, considering the amount of people that are moving away from E3 this year as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. It does signal that it could be the end or the start of a demise for E3 now, because, you know, are people going to trust going to a big company's going to trust going to this event when something like that happens? It's possibly not. No. So, you know, we've seen Sony step away from it. We've seen Nintendo do their own stuff.
Yeah.
Our company's just going to make their own expos now.
Might as well now, because this is bullshit. Or everyone link up and come together and like make their own kind of show. Because E3 is run by like the ESA, and I heard the ESA are just like a bunch of dickheads anyway. Like they're just not very there for games. They're all about, well, they've started taking priority over making money anyway by making E3 a lot more consumer led, and then almost kind of like pushing back on the press side of everything, when really the press side of everything is what we're really interested in. Like, okay, there's some games on the show floor. Like, you're going to spend the entire day only playing 2 games because the lines are that long. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't even make sense why they're doing that. Like, as a kid, I thought it was amazing. Like, I thought, yes, E3 sounds like amazing. You get to play all the new games first. Like, but now, being in what we do when we do the show, like, I can imagine how frustrating that must be now, knowing that E3 started off as like an expo for journalism first, to find out new games and do press releases and do actual real journalism. And now it's just turned into, oh, it's open fully to the public, and now the journalism side of it is kind of just been like pushed to the side, and now we just don't give a shit. And, you know, now you've just leaked 2,000 journalists like information, so now what? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're just killing off all the people who actually gave your event any kind of meaning. So, like, it's just, well, originally gave your event meaning, because obviously they only care about the dollar now, and it, like, they've got consumers buying thousands of tickets for E3 each year. So it's whatever in it. This is one of them things. Everything always comes to an end. Got used to it now. Like,
yeah, the last thing we've got in the gaming section is just a story that you've put on. Very interesting story as well, interesting topic, which Kotaku released this week, regarding is a story about how 25 people basically got scammed into working in a games job for a non-existent games company. A lot of these people were either out of work in the games industry or had gone to university, decided they didn't want to continue studying games, wanted to go straight into it, or vice versa. But it's, yeah, I don't want to go too far into it, too in depth, but you can Google it online. If you go on Kotaku's website and search for scammed into working at a non-existent games company, you'll probably find the article straight away. But it's a very interesting read. Something that, we can't really link to like a video here. We can just sort of discuss it, but very interesting to see the tales of deceit and the lies that were sort of told, and also how many people believe this stuff as well.
Yeah, and how much work really actually did go into it, like that people thought was actually being made, and like the game wasn't being made. Like I'd be so pissed off and nobody's getting paid. Like, that's just fucked. So fucked. Well, yeah, as Tom said, for the search out, that there's a real high like expose story on there. Like, maybe we might go back in on this like in the future, but it's a real long story about a lot of deceit, and you just be careful out there when you're accepting like job offers from online, and actually having some type of proof of like working like with an actual company. Like, do maybe some research and stuff like that. Like, even though people have done research, it kind of just seemed a little bit dodgy, some of the things that were going on early on. But obviously you want to believe in the game that you've spent so long on. So yeah, it is really sad though. It's really fucked. But yeah, following into films and TV, we've got a couple things on here, not too many, but we have a few things to just talk about on films and TV. Starting off with Kid Cudi, back in his acting bag. He's also been featured in Westworld, but he's also now in another brand new series, new HBO series as well. This is by an Italian director called Luca Guadagnino. It's a visionary Italian director behind such films as Call Me By Your Name, A Bigger Splash, and most recently Suspiria. I've never personally heard of him, but I feel like he must be an established director if they're calling him a visionary. So maybe I will look into his work. But yeah, so far it's gonna have Chloe Savani in there, and Kid Cudi, and whoever Alice Braga was announced to be in the show too. It's gonna have 8 episodes, and it's gonna feature 2 American teenagers living on a military base in Italy. So that should be a pretty interesting show. I was kind of hoping for it to be How to Make It in America, like season 3 or 4 or whatever, but I guess not. I guess we're getting this. So,
well, there is some other exciting information regarding Kid Cudi as well, which is that he did announce a new album towards the end of July.
Oh yes, he did,
and that also come with an announcement for his new Netflix anime, both named Sound and Fury. So it's an accompanying Netflix series to his album, which sounds really, really cool.
Wow.
He is going to be the writer, executive producer, and star of the animated program. It is an adult animated program, and the show will follow a young man on his journey to discover love. Ian Edelman, who worked with Cudi on How to Make It in America, will also executive produce and write. So if you like that, then the good news is something similar might be coming in an animated version.
Wait, so, okay. Time out. So, he's making a new Netflix anime and a companion album of the same name, Sound and Fury, but he also announced a similar project, a new album and accompanying Netflix series, Intergalactic, as well. So he's got 2 on the way.
I think Intergalactic is the soundtrack.
Is the soundtrack. Okay. Alright then. Alright. Yeah, okay, that makes a lot more sense. All right, cool. Yeah, I am very happy that Kid Cudi is back in a space where he's able to produce things again, and just be happy with life. I feel like we're gonna get some real cool music from Cudi. Like when he was on Kids See Ghosts, like that like climbed up to be like one of my favorite like releases out of that whole like release. Yeah, he sounded inspired on that, and I'm hoping this anime alongside with the soundtrack is going to be really sick. So yeah, go Cudi. We're all for like rebuilding and coming back better than ever.
Yeah, I'm excited for this anime as well. It does look very good, especially with a soundtrack curated by someone as good and also into the whole culture as well as Kid Cudi. Then you sort of know he knows what he wants and knows how to do the stuff justice as well. So I've got high expectations for this.
Yeah, for sure. I really think that Cudi can produce something of high quality. Like, fair enough, yeah. Say what you want about... I can't remember what the album's called, man. You know the one in it. His, like, punk rock album. Like, his grunge rock album.
Mm-hmm.
That he did, yeah. I can't remember it because I really like one song off it. I can't remember what it's called. Shit. One second, I'm just doing some research. I know Speed and Bullet to Heaven. That's it. Speed and Bullet to Heaven. Now, okay, I know that wasn't very good to some people, but I liked a few tracks off that. Only 2 though, because it just sounded different. But yeah, sometimes he can go a bit crazy with his ideas, but I feel like Cudi is in a space where it's concise and it's going to be focused and it's going to be what we were expecting from Kid Cudi. So, as I said before, go Cudi. Yeah, we're going to move on to this, but I don't really fuck with this, so I don't really know what to say about it. Like, because I've never watched it, but I just know it's really good, though. Like, everyone keeps talking about how good it is, but we can talk about how nostalgia and rehashing things, this is a very important thing that we said. It's happened a lot now. So, firstly, we'll have about it and it returning to cinema. Like, why is that happening?
Yeah, It is in the film It. Stephen King's It, the film. Because audio form is very hard to say It returns cinema. Just get confusing. It's a confusing name for a film. But
okay, It the Clown film. That is what it is. It the Clown film is coming back to the cinemas.
Pennywise the film.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we know who Pennywise is. It's coming back. Let's not make this a thing, because I'm not trying to go back to the cinema to go and see some new information. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, this is the thing. So it's not so much that it's coming back to cinemas is what's the thing that interests me. The thing that interests me is this whole movies returning to cinemas with added content. Like, Avengers has come back to the cinema, but you get 30 seconds more of content. Great. Well, can't you just release that as a fucking trailer? For free.
Okay. Or just a bonus what happened to the bonus featurette on the Blu-ray? Or the DVD at that?
Oh, yeah, but then you're still re-releasing the DVD or something. Now, it's coming back. It's not been in cinemas for a year. So it's coming back, and it's going to conclude with an 8-minute special peek of sneak peek
but
of the sequel.
What's the point? Just the film's coming out. What's the point?
I don't know. It's a month before the sequel comes out anyway.
I'm not doing. If you're a fool, you're a fool. If you go to the cinema and watch that 8-minute sneak peek before the month came out, yeah, you're a fool. Because what's the point?
Yeah, I don't know. But it's a thing that we're starting to see more of now. We recently, earlier we talked about the sort of rehashing of game ideas. And later on we will talk about the rehashing of music, but rehashing a film, not necessarily remaking films here either. Re-releasing films with tiny, minuscule amounts of content. Now, there is other information about it, which is that it is going to get a director's cut for Chapter 2, which I don't mind that, because the original film was meant to be 4 hours long and it's been cut down to 2 hours and 45 minutes, which is fine, because there's obviously stuff that's been cut out, and the book shows that there's a lot of scenes that, you know, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in this book, and it makes sense for it to be that long and to be cut down. That's fine.
But there's no problem with that. We could have done it 1, 2, and 3. So why? Like it could have been Chapter 3. Like, if you're gonna put it into a second film, don't do the director's cut yet, which is not gonna come out until the DVD or the Blu-ray, or do special viewings or whatever you're gonna do for the director's cut now. Like,
there should only be 2 chapters for the film.
There should only be 2 chapters.
Yeah, there should be. Just because of how the story works, it makes sense. And the director's cut, I think, is fine, because that's the director saying, I want this stuff in as well because it didn't make it. But you don't have to watch that to still get the film. But the fact that just re-releasing the film with basically a trailer, or not even a trailer, an extended trailer.
We shouldn't but we shouldn't even be saying, oh, the director's cut is confirmed. Like, yeah, that's already coming out. What am I hearing that for? It already makes me feel like I'm not watching the real film. Like, I don't like to hear that before the film is even released. After, fair enough. But why are you confirming the director's cut's already going to come out? You lot just did that CD. Like, you don't say.
There's certain things in it though that are controversial, to say the least, or possibly not necessarily needed in a film, because it's quite a detailed book. So, you know, to me it makes sense that they've announced, especially considering it was going to be 4 hours. If they went, here's the film, it's 4 hours long, everyone would be sat there like, I'm not watching that film about a scary clown for 4 hours. Fuck that. Like, yeah,
someone said,
if you want to watch that,
someone said you can't deliver a 4 hour movie because people will start to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, you would. You would.
To be honest, though, like that's how you start to feel when you're watching you know, when you like watch really long films like Lord of the Rings and shit. Like, you just start to feel weird after a certain amount of time. You're like, yo, I've been watching this film for a while now. Like, but at the same time, when you're on Netflix and you're watching things for a while, like, you don't feel like that. I don't feel like that anyway.
Yeah, the trouble is you go into the cinema to watch. Director's cuts are pretty common. They don't normally come out in the cinema that often, which is because it's more of a niche thing, you could say. You know, a lot of people would just go and see the film and go, that was a good film. And some people that are hardcore fans of the original content will be like, oh, I really want to see the extra stuff that wasn't there, like the intricate details that don't matter to normal consumers, but to me, they matter. I want to see them. It happened with Blade Runner. You know, I've seen Blade Runner and Blade Runner's director's cut as well. And, you know, the director's cut, people could say it's possibly better, but then also it depends what you want out of a movie. If you want more detail and you're willing to sit through that amount, then that's perfectly fine. But if you're just going for a movie and a good movie, then some stuff included in director's cuts might seem like it's there and not necessarily needed for the overall story. So there is like pros and cons to that. And I understand why they have announced the director's cut, because personally, I'm interested in that as someone being a fan of the book and stuff.
I'm not saying there's a problem with that. I just have a problem with them confirming it. Like, oh yeah, but don't worry, guys, director's cut is coming out. Because me personally, as a person, I feel like I'm not watching the true version of the film, and I get upset about that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to the cinema and I'm paying money, but then there's a director's cut. I then now have to either wait or sort out a director's cut. And I'm trying to be legal, and I'm gonna buy the director's cut. Yeah, I am paying twice for the film. Like, why am I paying twice for the film now? I just went and paid £12 in the cinema. What's going on? Like, I just don't like how it's been confirmed already. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like it would have been better after. I'd say, oh, director's cut's coming after. Like, guys, like, that would have been better in my opinion. It makes me feel like I wouldn't want to go to the cinema. I'm going to wait for the director's cut now. But that's me personally. I'm probably not the same as everyone else. Maybe, like, you don't have a problem with that. You're going to go and watch it in the cinema, and then you're going to watch the director's cut after. Some people like to do that. I personally would like to wait for the director's cut.
There's also certain things like so there is an hour and 15 minutes of extra footage that is going to be that could be included in the director's cut, because that was originally, it had to be cut down from its original time. So personally, I don't think that's so much the producer and director's input. I think that's, I don't know, maybe the film board or the overall company just saying, look, we can't release a film that's 4 hours long. You're going to have to cut it down to like under at least 3 hours.
No, there's no problem with the length of time. Like, anyone can release films whatever length of time. Like, most Bollywood films are over 3 hours long, or sometimes 4 hours, and they have intervals between the films because that's how long they are. You could easily have an interval in the film if you wanted to have a really long film. Like, a lot of foreign films are a lot longer than the average length of films in, say, for example, a Hollywood film.
Yeah, I understand, but I think an interval might ruin something like it.
Oh yeah, no, don't get me wrong. An interval could ruin something like that. But say, for example, you had a real big monumental moment, and you just say, like, I don't know, end of part 1, and like a 5-minute rest up, go like to the bathroom, get a new drink, get a new popcorn, whatever. Like, we're gonna go back in on another 2 hours. Like, in the next 5 minutes, everyone comes back in, and then kind of leads you back into the film again by part 2. But as I said, it is not the same. It's not structured in the same way as a Bollywood. A Bollywood can do that, and like some of these other foreign films can do that, where they can split in the middle and it'll be fine. But then some films, like it won't be able to do things like that. They've already had to split the film in 2, so splitting the film into 2 again would be a bit of a piss take, wouldn't it? So
there's also this thing that the film was very popular, did very well.
Yeah, it did very, very well.
So there's also this thing that a mainstream audience aren't really used to stuff like that. You know, if you're not necessarily something like a film buff or a consistent cinema goer, well, not even a consistent cinema goer, you know what I'm trying to say, like someone that is very into sort of cult films, or followed cinema throughout the years to films, classic cinema, foreign cinema, Japanese cinema, Indian cinema, stuff that has different cultures and different ways of doing stuff. They're going to be more accustomed to that than, say, your typical cinema goer who's like, oh, I'm going to go and watch Lion King this week, I'll go and watch It next week, I'll go and watch Toy Story this week. Like, if they bought a ticket and then were like, oh wait, that's not the end, but it's like, I've got to wait for 5 minutes, what? Like, it'd get weird reviews from people, I think.
I do understand. I do understand, Jay, if they did have the break, but I won't necessarily say that people are going to be upset with sitting for a long film, because a lot of the Avengers films are all really long, and people don't mind those. And also the DC films are pretty long as well. Like, that Batman vs Superman was like 2 hours and 45 minutes, and everyone sat down there and watched that bullshit movie. So, the director's cut of that was like 3 hours and 50 minutes. I don't know who watched that, but I didn't watch it because it was bullshit.
We're also talking about sort of dedicated fan bases there in a way as well.
Sure.
Which I know people that watched the whole of Avengers Infinity War and then Endgame in the cinema, like, back to back. They went to like a 7 hours showing of it. Like,
like a double,
yeah, people do that. Like, that's dedication that people do, but that's not where like all the money comes from, or the typical success of a film. It doesn't come from that. That's just like a small minority. So they do have to think about the majority of people, the typical normie, for when they plan things like this. You know, the typical normie probably wouldn't have gone to watch Avengers Endgame if they hadn't already seen some of the other films, or seen that it's that long. They probably would have seen something else instead. So,
well, I just feel like the lines are really getting blurred these days. I don't think there's so much of like a difference between a lot of the consumers. Like, I feel like some consumers, like mainstream consumers, or like people who are the average customer or consumer, are starting to pick up habits that are of people of extreme natures. Like, they start to enjoy things of that nature a lot, like a person who is hardcore into something like that. Like, there's a lot more people who just, anime is now part of their life. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, but they also enjoy all these other things on the side as well. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, me, anime came kind of hand in hand because I really enjoy games, and I really like Japan, and like my uncle was really big into Japan, and my dad always watched kung fu films when I grew up and stuff like that. And like, I was really into like Asian culture, and I like grew up on it. But then like, some people are only just finding anime out now, like in like late into their adult life, and like they really enjoy it. Like, they never knew something like this, and they're like learning more. So I feel like the consumer is adapting. Like, I feel like eventually we'll get to a point where more people will you start to see habits that are like a lot more the same, like across the board. Like, it's already becoming like that anyway. Like, everyone likes to kind of view content on the same level. Like, everyone likes short form things for certain things. Like, we all like YouTube videos because they're short and they're concise, and you can find things that only specific keywords, like of specific things, you can find on YouTube. Or you watch Instagram stories when you wake up because they're short, and it's all the people you kind of care about and follow, like, all on one place. Like, oh, what are they doing today? So it's kind of like, or you're already like updating yourself on the world through all these different ways. I just feel like cinema's going to become like that as well. Like, I feel like everything's going to become like more towards, we're going to go towards more like exclusive content, and Netflix is going to start getting like their stuff in cinema more, and it's going to become like that. Then we're going to start like seeing like certain films come out like every year again, kind of like a Netflix series.
Interesting, but yeah, but it is possible. Something I just want to cover, it's not related to that much of this, but you mentioned about anime and stuff. Now, we spoke earlier about gaming sort of coming into the mainstream with Fortnite and stuff like that. Anime's sort of become more accepted and brought more into the mainstream now, with basically through memes a lot of the time, which is a bit weird. But you know, this whole Area 51 meme that's currently ongoing, the whole Naruto run based on that, like, people are going on about Naruto run that probably have never heard of Naruto before, and are like, oh yeah, people doing Naruto run, and like,
yeah,
people know what you mean, which is like something that a year or two ago not a lot of people would have really understood what that means. Now, Naruto is a massive anime anyway, like, it's well known, but the fact that it's reached a point where, like, typical Western people know what it is based on that from a meme, like, that's a bit weird to sort of see.
I think what we have to take is, like, what we don't take on board sometimes is, like, people of our age, like our generation, are a lot more clued up, and I feel like because we've been on the internet for a lot longer, like actually on the internet, not just had the internet, like we've been on the World Wide Web like a lot longer, like we know a lot more about it, and like we've seen things a lot more. Even unintentionally, you might have seen Naruto in an unrelated post somewhere, and you know what Naruto is now. You know it's a Japanese animation or a quote unquote a cartoon of some sort. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, you're just not really sure about the whole information behind Naruto, and you probably would have seen that run being done in like a funny Vine back in the day or something. So like, oh, I remember that from a Vine from back in the day. I think like that generation of people, like we're all much more like, oh, that's Naruto or Dragon Ball. Yeah, that's more common, but like seeing it from like maybe like people who are older, who never watched anime, or like my parents, they obviously used to watch anime, but they used to call it manga back in the day. And it's not called manga. Manga is the paper version. Like, so like I was always calling it manga when I grew up, but it wasn't. It was anime. And they watch anime now, but they ask me what kind of anime to watch. And they watch like all the Netflix ones, which I don't like that much, but they enjoy it though. So it's kind of seen like Netflix make anime for different audiences. Like they don't make it for me or you, for example. They're making it for people who are trying to maybe get into anime or seen it and thought that looks interesting.
I don't know. Netflix have contacted me about making a personal anime just for me, but it's not confirmed yet. But no, that's a sort of next point I was gonna make. Things like Netflix and stuff have sort of gradually increased the acceptance of anime. Pokemon was a big thing back in the 90s, which again, the current generation grew up with that.
Yeah.
But also like the accessibility to anime now, it's not frowned upon as much as it used to be. You know, watching animation or cartoons over the age of 13, people don't frown upon it so much anymore because there's been such a rise in adult animation, Japanese anime coming into Western areas, Netflix coming onto the scene as well, streaming services, things like Crunchyroll also sort of being there. While that's a bit more niche, it's still there. You know, and you know, even things like Nintendo being getting bigger as well now, and PlayStation becoming gaming becoming bigger, and PlayStation becoming bigger, expands the audience again. So it really, you know, the whole link between everything, gaming and everything like that. Even music, we're starting to see anime represented in music, and influences from music sort of mention that they watch it as well.
That's been in like anime has been in rap for years. Like I think even like MF Doom and that used to like talk about like comics and stuff like that. The references and that are like anime and Dragon Ball and all of those kind of things being like, especially like Rob Banks and like Space Ghost Perp and all those guys. Like Denzel Curry, they reference anime early on in like that kind of like rap style. So yeah, like and we're starting to see it. Yeah, starting to reach more of like a mainstream level. Like Dave's cover for his EP that was drawn in the art style of like Naruto, and he had the Renegun and he had the Sharingan, and then the One and O cover was like Dave and Drake like kind of like drawn like as Naruto characters, and the One and O sign was in the Naruto font. So like yeah, like even like people like Drake, like, you know, getting himself involved in like the anime like side of things like that. Like he had a cover, not necessarily anime, but he was on a cover of like an anime. So like it's quite interesting to see the crossover and see it like grow and grow and become more important, like more popular, and people having more average conversations just about anime now. Like the amount of people that I work with that watch anime, like it's just like it's a natural thing. Like, oh yeah, I'll watch this and this and this. I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. Like I didn't even know that you wouldn't even like think. It's not a thing now where you think like, oh, does that person watch anime? Are they going to think I'm weird by like telling them that I watch anime? Like, no, it's like, oh,
it's just
normal now. That's a question now. Like, do you watch anime? That's a question. Like, it's just one of those things.
I don't know whether it's I think it's a combination of all things, but I don't know whether it's the fact that Netflix have made it more, you know, open and accessible.
I think Attack on Titan was very instrumental in helping anime like cross. I don't know what it was, but because that was the first licensed anime on like Netflix properly, wasn't it? So, and it had dubbing and it had subbing. So that was really helpful as well to kind of like bridge the gap. But
I am a big fan of dubbing.
So many people love Attack on Titan. I didn't know that. Oh
yeah. Well, mainly when I'm doing stuff, my preferences vary. If I'm doing stuff and watching something, I'll put a dubbed anime on. If I'm just watching it, then I'll put my subtitles on, because otherwise I just miss shit and don't know what's going on.
Fair enough. Yeah, I am particularly like subtitled anime. I always have. It's just I even watch things with subtitles now. It's kind of made me a bit like reliant on subtitles for everything now these days. I don't know if that's just like I don't know, like a generational thing, but so many people I know like watch things with subtitles now. I don't know if like our hearing's really bad. I don't know. Like I have no idea.
I think you need to get that checked out still.
But I know a lot of people that watch things with just subtitles now. It's just a habit. I just like to know that the information is there just in case I miss something. So
yeah,
I just like to read.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Fuck you. Anyway, let's carry on, because we're running out of time as usual. Just rambling. Like I haven't watched this yet, but I heard it's not that good, and I'm really sad.
I haven't watched it yet either. I haven't watched The Lion King yet.
I heard it's not that impressive.
Oh, spoilers! Don't tell me the spoilers.
No spoilers. Everyone just. Well, obviously we all know what happens, but like
Simba dies.
Yeah. No, we do. Oh my gosh! You just shut up. I'm trying to explain to everyone about The Lion King. So I haven't watched The Lion King, but the remake's not supposed to be that good. But it has churned out a Billy though. So that's
Nostalgia.
okay. Nostalgia again, repackaging Pepsi, Coca-Cola, same thing. As Fam said.
Yeah.
And now Gambino's in. Now he's in Lion King.
But yeah, I think Beyonce is obviously a big thing for that as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the album was cool. I really enjoyed that album.
Yeah, the album, which wasn't linked to the film necessarily, but linked to the film, but not directly corresponding to the film. But yeah, it was a cool album. But there has been a lot of sort of criticism about it, like you've said, and some of the original animators did come out and say that it's sort of, in my words, lost its soul as such.
But you're gonna say that though. This is not a hand-drawn animation, is it? Like, what are you talking about?
There is some fan-made edits where people have mocked up the live-action versions and changed the eyes and the nose, just stylized the actual lions a bit more to look more like the original film. So still live-action, but just slightly more stylized to look like the original animated characters. It doesn't look too bad. Like it does keep the personality of the characters, because I think that was the charm of the Lion King back then. But also, we're not forgetting the fact that the soundtrack and the musical has kept that going for a long time as well. So it's not just that film; it's the musical and the shows at all the Disney parks and the musicals that go on Broadway and stuff like that. That's really like the soul of the Lion King, I think, as well. And this film sort of does encapsulate that as well, from what I've seen of the trailers. So, and the soundtrack. So it sort of swings and roundabouts, you could say. Some people aren't fan. Obviously, the animators aren't going to be fans of it because it's changing what they did. But, the musical never portrayed the characters as they looked on screen anyway. So, there is that sort of...
I feel like people really are they're just really trying to hate on things as well, though. Like, I see people just hating because it's not like how they remembered it, and that's the problem sometimes. Sometimes it's just better to leave things as it is, innit? But also, like, people are bombing it, but it made $1 billion, so
It's not exactly
Disney ain't losing sleep
not a
over
flop.
it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they're not losing sleep over it. Like, I think if it did under $1 billion, they would definitely be pissed off. But like, it made $1 billion. So
I think if it did under $1 billion, but more than 500 million, I think they'd still be pretty happy. You know, if anything you do makes that much money, you're probably not going to be, yeah.
Oh, and people are like now trying to say like, because it's made $1 billion, but like, let me know when it passes the original like 1.7 billion, which is like approximate inflation adjusted takeoff of the original. Even then, it wouldn't be truly equivalent, as we have premium tickets now. I'm just like, but why are we why are we trying to compare? You know what I'm saying? Why are we trying to compare like box office numbers for the original Lion King and like The Lion King, which is coming out when there's like 1 billion different films come out like every day, and everyone forgets everything in like the next 2 weeks because we already have like 75 different albums and 3 different games to review, and like 600 different films just dropped as well. Like, I'm sorry, but it won't be the same as like when The Lion King came out. That was the only animated film that came out that year, a bit. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a different game. Like, I just don't understand. Like,
I mean, that was probably Disney's only or second or third release that year, max. Whereas now it's a completely different ballgame for them. You know, and there's many more companies in the business as well doing the same thing. But I do think that I completely lost what I was going to say then. Oh, no, I do think that I'm going to enjoy the film when I do watch it. I think, yeah, it's not the original. But, you know, I don't want it to be the original.
Exactly. I'm going in with an open mind, yeah. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to hear Gambino do a duet with Beyonce. It's lit. Like, I don't care, innit? Like, I'm just going with an open mind. We'll see what happens. I didn't expect it to be that good anyway. Like, I did think it looked weird. Like, I just thought, well, whatever, innit? Like, I'm just trying to see Childish Gambino sing some songs, and let's just see what it looks like, because I haven't seen any of these live-action Disney films, but I was gonna go and watch The Lion King, though.
Yeah, all I'm waiting for is The Lion King 1.5 or The Lion King 3 Hakuna Matata to cut, like, straight to DVD film again. That's what I'm waiting for. Remake of that.
Yeah, but we need 2 though, because 2 has the best songs.
We need 2.
2 was hard. 2 was hard, but like, yeah, 3 Hakuna Matata and 1.5. Yeah, we need the straight to DVD ones as well.
They're the same film.
Straight to Disney Plus.
Ooh.
How about you? How you know about that? Straight to Disney Plus. That's what we should do. Well, the Lady and the Tramp's going straight to Disney Plus, so why not?
Now, do you know what we do need? Not this Lion Pride or the Pride or whatever the new animated Lion King TV series was. We need the Timon and Pumbaa animated series back.
Oh, that was so hard. That was the GOAT show. Oh my gosh, the Timon and Pumbaa show. Timon and Pumbaa. I remember that. Wow. Yeah, that was a really, really good show. What happened to all of that? You see, Disney. Anyway, we ain't even getting on our bullshit.
That was Disney Channel. They own it. It's coming Disney Plus, and I'll binge watch the hell out of that.
Disney Plus. They're not getting any of Disney. Not getting any of my money. Zombieland sequel, but we already knew that this was coming out. You put it on the notes, so what was you saying about there? It was good.
Zombieland Double Tap or Zombieland 2. I know it looks interesting. They said they wanted to make sure it was the right time to reunite the cast and have like a good story in place as well before they did a sequel to it. But like the first Zombieland for me, it's a really good film. I really liked it. I've watched it several times. So, you know, the second one, I am excited for it. It's got a good cast. The first film had a good cast. This one's got a good cast. You know, we've got Emma Stone, Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg. Very good actors. All worked very well together in Zombieland. Played different characters, and you know, the characters didn't necessarily get on screen all the time. But I think that led to the charm of the film as well. And it wasn't just a typical zombie film. It had a lot of sort of, slapstick in there, or a bit of comedy as well. So it was a nice, light-hearted film, but also like a good story behind it as well. I'd say it's probably one of the bit of a like cult film, isn't it?
Yeah, like it's weird how, it's getting a sequel 10 years down the line. Like, I don't know, like, and the film does kind of seem really not that crazy, like, for it to be like 10 years like down the line. It sounds what it sounds like they're doing is like one of the girls runs off, and then like it looks like they meet like opposites or like clones of them, kind of a little bit. Like you meet like a guy that kind of looks like Jesse Eisenberg, but not really. Then you meet like a Woody Harrelson like kind of guy, and you meet like someone who's like similar to like Emma Stone's character, kind of stone faced. Like I guess like kind of meet like a parallel group, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like I kind of guess it's okay. Like I don't know, we'll see. We'll see.
Westworld.
Let's see. Westworld. Oh gosh, we'll see. But yeah, is that everything for film and TV?
Yeah, it's that time. It's time for the big day, the big one.
That's all I've got to say on that one. You're right, I'll let you say it.
Really?
What have you got to say about the album?
No, we'll have a heated discussion.
We're not having we're not having a heated discussion about it, because I don't think the album, like, I just don't think it lived up to my expectations of Chance the Rapper. I think he could have done better.
Mm-hmm.
As a debut, coming off Acid Rap, coming off 10 Day, coming off Chance 3, Colouring Book. Even Colouring Book wasn't my most favourite, but it had some of like, it has a lot of bops on there that I like Same Drugs and things like that, like, and All Night and stuff. Like,
yeah,
those are amazing songs. Like, but yeah, like Big Day, like, I don't know, man. Like, it was just missing. Like, it was just missing a little something, like a little spice. Like, I really like a few songs on there. Like, I like Hot Shower. I like the two Nicki features. I like the Meg song.
People are calling Hot Shower hot trash.
What? Okay, the beat's a little bit major. The beat's a little bit major on Hot Shower, but like
it's not the greatest song, but I just like the tongue in cheek element. Like it's just a fun song. Like I think people like I did go into this, and the first time I listened to the album, I thought, okay, what the fuck's this?
Yeah,
I'll admit that. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get into this album, because it didn't resonate with me at all the first time I listened to it. And then I started listening to it again, just being at work and stuff, or just being at home and just having it on because it was there. I was like, I'd give it another chance. And you know what? Like, once I started to understand the meaning behind the album and not take it too seriously, it's a pretty good album, just as a feel-good album. It's not groundbreaking, it's not Grammy-worthy, it's not the best album in the world, but it doesn't deserve the hate it's getting, in my opinion. It's an album about his family, him just getting married, him releasing his first album, and his kid calling it album. Like, it's a feel-good album. The guy's just celebrating living life.
Yeah, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that's just the one thing that everyone didn't get. I just think everyone just didn't get that Chance was about to make an album. Like, that was just about like him live. I know what people. This is what the thing I was missing. Yeah, I felt like that a lot of the content on it was just a bit like hollow. Like, I don't know if you like. There's a lot of like yeah, I know you met your wife, and like it was like I get it, like, but a lot of it was about that. Like it's really hard to explain, because I'm not trying to trash Chance, because Chance is all right in it. Like, I don't have a problem with Chance, and like he's a good guy and he does like good shit. Like,
no, you can you can trash the album. Like, that's the whole point in this, is that we discuss on what we like and don't like about it.
Yeah.
Like, Fantano gave the album a 0.
I don't
in my
think
opinion. I think that's
just
just disrespectful and trying to get attention.
I think that was a real piss take that Fantano gave that a 0, because he's given albums that have got 9s and 10s come on now. Like, okay, I don't mind Death Grips. I like some Death Grips things, but 10s across the board for a lot of the Death Grips albums. Are you kidding me? Some of them are literal noise. Like, how can you give those 10s, yeah, and you're saying that chances are 0, but what do you have to say that, like, I feel like sometimes Fantano plays up to memes, and it's not funny, because he's a really regarded reviewer, and people take his reviews as gospel, and it will hurt an artist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he does build his business on memes. He has spoke about that before, and to be fair, he's good at doing that. But to do it in a way where you give someone a 0, which could negatively affect their career, that in my opinion is disrespectful. And to call it a 22-track torture chamber, it's not worthy of that. Like, I've heard much worse albums than that.
All right, yeah, I must say, like, if that's the case, then we need to start, like, I wonder what he gave Death Race for Love, because that Juice WRLD album was trash. Like, let's keep it on wax here. I didn't like that album. I didn't think it was good. But I know Fantano didn't give it a 0, though. And that was about 24 songs long. So, and that felt like a torture chamber to me, because he was just singing about the same shit, like, over and over. And it was in the same tone. And it was like, there's so many things that I could say. Like, Lil Nas X EP, that was not since it got a high number, that was not that great, if we're being realistic. A bunch of flows, a bunch of beats that all sound similar to Travis Scott, in my opinion.
Well, let's speak about Kelsey Chester. Some of his songs have been hot trash. But, you know.
Well, see, and I know he's building up this whole meme thing, but he even said he was moving away from that, because I remember he got into a lot of trouble when I can't remember what he did. He did a meme video before, and I just remember a lot of controversy around it, and I'm pretty sure he was moving away from that. But this isn't a meme now. Like, you've seriously given someone a 0. Like, you've seriously given someone whose album it does not warrant a 0. I would have probably given Chance album, probably, in my opinion, it probably gets about a 5 or a 6.
Yeah, about a 5 or a 6.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that.
I think it gets about a 5 or 6 from me. I don't think nothing in the world justifies Chance's album getting a 0. And I think, like, I get it. Like, I love all the memes and stuff, like I love my wife memes and stuff. I think it's funny as fuck.
It's funny,
but
I'm not doubting that it's not funny.
But, like, yeah, I do think that, like, when the album first came out, people were like, yeah, I listened to 7 songs, that shit was ass, and, like, stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, like, you can't really, like,
listen to the songs. Like, I listen to it when I'm at work, and I'm just sort of going about my day, but, like,
I'm trying to think to myself is, what kind of music do you like then?
Me?
No, I mean the person who's like, who's making these assumptions.
The thing is, he didn't rap as much on it. Okay, but, like, right, Chance, in my opinion, has never been known for his lyrics that much. Like, I wouldn't say he's one of the best lyricists of all time.
But on acid rap, though, he proved that he could rap very well, though. That's
Yeah.
the problem with acid rap.
But how long ago was that? Like,
A long time
and
ago.
also, the guy was in a different place. Like, you can't be going, I want this guy to just go take shitloads of acid so he can make a good album again.
Yeah,
I want his life to be shit. I want him to be down and just on drugs, and then he'll make good music. Like, come on, man.
No,
like, really?
I'm not saying that Chance isn't making.
Nah, like, I'm not saying you, but I have seen people
say that though. Yeah,
say that on the internet, and I'm just like, really, you can't wish for, like, no matter if you're wishing it or not, you can't be like, he was making better music when he was on drugs. Yeah, so what? Like, the guy's happy, man.
So was Eminem. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so was Eminem. Like, and now look what Eminem does. My only struggle raps over, like, modern beats. So, like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Like, yeah, I don't think it's warranted. I don't think that hate is warranted at all. Like, it has some good standout tracks on there, and it, like, the production and stuff of it is quite impressive. So I say just check it out.
Yeah, I like the majority of the album. I'm different. I like Chance's stuff when he's singing and he's more R&B, jazzy stuff, soul stuff. I've always preferred that. I was a big fan of Surf when Surf came out, and
other people
weren't necessarily, because it was so different.
But it wasn't a Chance album like it would Surf. It was some experiment. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what people need to understand.
This is, but again, like, I think the whole story behind it, like, if you know the backstory behind it and him being married and stuff, and you do listen to their tracks, a lot of them are very feel good, feel happy, or tongue-in-cheek stuff where he is showing he doesn't really care that much about, like, trying to impress people, and he's just happy at, like, where he's got himself and being in the position where he has control over his own music creativity. Like, creatively, he's in control of it.
Yeah, exactly.
No one's telling him what he has to do.
Exactly.
You know, he's got his family, he's happy. And then also the fact that, like, you know, yeah, he knows that his other albums were good, but he's not trying to do that. He knows this is different, and he sort of understands that. But, you know, a lot of the songs I really like. Some of them are nostalgic a little bit, and some of them, you know, production quality is really good on it. Also, I can't remember what song it is where he does mention about how he met his wife.
It's the last song. That's how I was just about to say it. Like, because I was surprised that there was a Nicki verse on the outro. I didn't expect that. So I didn't think that, like, because that's how he effectively ended the album, with that verse. So I was
that's a true story.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it was. It was
a whole thread on Twitter about it.
Yeah, it's a whole true story.
Ago.
And then he went on Queen Radio as well the day the album came out and explained that dancing was a really big part of him and his wife's, like, relationship. So like he involved the whole Destiny Child, and, like, they came out and they were dancing. He was like, that was the first time he's seen her, and that song is my favorite song of the album because I like the story he tells, because it's a really good story. The beat's really cool. It's got, like, an Afro, like, kind of like tribal beat in the background. It's quite different. Like, I do enjoy parts of the album, and I think that some people are just hating. Like, I feel like if you get to a point where you could be happy with, like, listening to the album, then, like, maybe it will be. But I also do have harsh criticisms of some of the songs. Some of it sounds hollow. Some of it doesn't sound. I just feel like I expected more from Chance on his debut album. Like, we're going to think to ourselves, this is his debut album, like, proper, real release, like, not his mixtape. I just thought it would have been different. That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm still waiting on Good Ass Job to be, like, the rap album, hopefully, but we're not even sure if we're getting that anymore. But we'll see.
We don't know. But I mean, yeah, personally, it's not for everyone, but for me, it's a really good album. Really good album that I like. My personal opinion.
I know you enjoy it. A lot. Yeah, I did think it did have, like, a more, like, I know you like the uplifting, like, I know you like that kind of Chance. Like, yeah. So I knew, like, you would be feeling. The beats on it are really nice. It's very summery, very nice, like, to listen to, like, in the day and stuff like that. So
it's a nice sing-along album.
Yeah, it is. It is. Like, Chance said, like, you should, like, drive around to it, or like I was, like, skating, listening to some of the songs, and it was pretty nice. So, like, yeah, the big day, Chance the Rapper, like, I say you just kind of have to make your own opinion about it. But running out of time as usual, because that's what we do over here. Care Package by Drake. Now, we were talking about remasters and repackaging. Well, what I'm hearing is Drake essentially missed his deadline for his album release. So he had to produce something. So he got together all of the forgotten gems and classics over the years and put them all in one album. And yeah, it is what it is. Of course I love it. I'm a Drake fan, innit? Like, I thought it was great. I've already heard all these songs millions of times before. Yeah, it's got a good reception. It's selling very well. Like,
the thing is, a lot of people have heard these songs before.
Yeah,
and know them. Like, me and you, we know these songs, and we're like, oh, yeah, I remember this song. Like, you know what? Yeah.
Boa days, man. Like, what's called like?
But like, some people are like, oh, you heard the new Drake album? Like,
yeah, come on, man. That's like, the thing. Yeah, like, I think
you know that people will do that though, because it's packaged as care package, but it's not like forgotten tracks off my old albums. It's just like, oh, this is a new album with songs that a lot of people will probably have forgotten or never heard.
But I say Drake should have like named it like Scary Hours the album or something, or
songs you forgot to listen to on my past albums. It's a great title.
Or like, just like, you should just put Timeless or like Classic, or you should have just called it OVO, like OVO blog or OVO compilation or something. Like, at least then people would have known it's a compilation. Like, I feel like, yeah, obviously he did it kind of tongue-in-cheek, like, oh, these are some forgotten moments that, like, we shared before, and, like, put, like, the album art, and the album art, like, is the old Acura that Drake used to drive, and, like, everyone's like, oh, it looks like an old Young Money cover, and, yeah, like, it's all cool, like, but we're just saying, like, same thing, nostalgia, like, everyone's going out listening to these songs. I guarantee you've got them somewhere on your, like, laptop, or, like, a phone somewhere, or I have every single one of those songs on that care package already, like, in my phone. It's just that it's convenient now that Drake has happened to put it all on one album, so now I can listen to all of them, like, I don't have to search for them anymore.
Yeah.
So, like, it's just, it works. It does work, like, but I wonder how many people are gonna, like, start dropping, like, their unreleased, and they're things that you can only get on SoundCloud on official avenues now. I wonder how
hopefully
many. Like I think well, obviously we've had Chance put Acid Rap and 10 Day on there, so that was a first. I feel like, yeah, more mixtapes hopefully do start to reach the streaming services, because that's where, like, a lot of people start to get, like, you know, oh, why would I use a streaming service? It doesn't have, like, mixtapes on there, but, like, mixtapes are also kind of dying now, so it makes sense for rappers to try and get mixtapes onto the streaming services too. So, yeah. But also, keeping going, Overtime and Single Again by Big Sean, both two really great songs. I really like Overtime. Overtime is hard. Like, Big Sean is back, like, rapping like he's never rapped like before. I don't even know what kind of like mindset he's in at the moment, but he just sounds inspired. Like, it's mad.
He's Single Again. He's working on himself.
He is, man. He's working. Yeah, when he gets into that bag, yeah. When Big Sean's on his working on himself bag, we're gonna get a good album. Brandon Banks by Maxo Cream. Really, really incredible album. Debut as well. Like, label debut. Maxo Cream is hard, from Houston. Been following him for a while now. Also got Gold Roses by Rick Ross featuring Drake. Great song. Port of Miami comes out on the 9th of August. Burna Boy, African Giant. Haven't heard it yet. I've heard really great things about the album. He did a live performance on Jimmy Fallon.
I've not listened to all of it, but everything that I've listened to on it so far sounds pretty good. So.
Pretty good, yeah. We've got a new track from Ariana Grande and Social House called Boyfriend. Kind of still going off of that same kind of like vibe of like Seven Rings and that. The production is pretty similar. Not quite sure what she's trying to do with the next album, but the sound same. It sounds like that's the sound she's still going with at the moment. Taste. He's a local lad from Manchester. Pretty good song that he's got out. Mabel is a UK singer, also has a brand new album out as well called High Expectations. Yeah, basically we don't have much time, but ASAP Rocky's out. The OG version of Yandhi leaked. We'll cover all of that in the next show. But until next time,
Rocky coming out is very new.
Yeah, that's very new. That's like really, 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 really crazy. Oh, and one last one as well. Lil Durk had a new album as well called what's it called? Love Songs for the Streets or something like that. That's got a few people on there. I feel like Nicki's on there. A couple other people. That's an R&B album from Lil Durk.
Before we go, we've got 1 minute left. Just if you are following us on our social medias on Twitter or Instagram at 808s and Joystick on Twitter and 808 and Joysticks on Instagram, you would have known that we have been teasing some announcements over the past week. They are in the works. They will be coming very soon. Keep posted on our social medias because you will find out what's going to be coming soon, and it's very exciting. It's something we've been planning for a long time. We keep mentioning it, but this time it's for real and it's coming.
Yeah, and that's about it really. Tom summed that all up greatly. Can't wait to share whatever we've been doing. We've been working hard. Tom has been working incredibly hard. Shouts out to him. We're gonna make it work. You're gonna see some great things from us. So thank you for supporting us as always with the 808s boys. Peace.
The 808s boys. If you liked any of the music in today's show, then please check the credits in the description to see what songs we used.